Most people think love becomes weaker with time, but psychology suggests something more surprising. There are moments in life when emotional need quietly rises, not because someone is incomplete, but because life itself changes how the brain processes connection, stress, and security. And if you understand these moments, you will understand something most people never figure out about attraction and relationships. Why love feels stronger at certain stages of life and confusing at others. But here's the real question. Why do emotional needs change even when the person stays the same? Let's go deeper. The human brain is not designed for constant emotional balance. It reacts to transitions, uncertainty, and identity shifts. And during those shifts, connection feels more intense than usual. There are three major psychological phases in life where emotional bonding becomes significantly stronger, not because one gender needs the other more, but because the mind searches for stability in different ways. And the first shift begins much earlier than people expect. In early adulthood, around the late teens to mid-20s, the mind is still building identity. This is the stage where decisions feel heavy and the future feels unclear. Psychologists call this the identity formation phase. Imagine a young person stepping into real life for the first time. New job, new expectations, constant comparison. On the outside, everything looks exciting, but inside there is silent uncertainty. Then someone enters who provides attention without judgment. They listen. They stay consistent. They make life feel less chaotic. And something subtle happens in the brain. Dopamine creates excitement. Oxytocin creates bonding. And together they form emotional attachment faster than logic can evaluate. But here's the hidden truth. At this stage, attraction is often not about the person. It is about emotional relief from uncertainty. So ask yourself, when someone feels deeply attached in this phase, are they in love with a person or a sense of safety? And that question changes everything. But life does not stay uncertain forever. As people move into their late 20s and 30s, the psychology of connection begins to shift. Now life introduces structure, careers stabilize, friends settle, families start asking questions. Social comparison becomes unavoidable. The brain does not interpret comparison neutrally. It creates pressure, and pressure increases cortisol, the stress hormone. When stress increases, the need for emotional stability rises automatically. This is where relationships begin to change in meaning. It is no longer just about excitement or attention. It becomes about reliability, emotional consistency, and shared direction. Imagine someone scrolling through social media late at night. Engagements, weddings, milestones. Even if their own life is stable, a quiet internal question appears. Am I aligned with where I should be? This is not insecurity. It is the brain tracking progress against social timelines. But here's what nobody tells you. At this stage, attraction becomes less about intensity and more about predictability. So what creates deeper connection now? Passion or stability? And just when people think they understand love, the next stage reveals something even deeper. In the late 30s to 40s, life enters a reflective phase. Psychologists often describe this as the meaning evaluation stage. Here, people begin to reassess emotional fulfillment, not just external success. Some relationships feel distant. Some individuals feel emotionally unseen. Some begin to experience quiet loneliness, even in familiar environments. And the brain reacts differently here. It no longer seeks stimulation first. It seeks emotional presence. Imagine someone sitting in a quiet room after a long day. Nothing is wrong on the surface, but internally, there is a sense of emotional distance from everything happening around them. At this stage, attention becomes more powerful than intensity. A simple, focused conversation feels more valuable than grand gestures. Why? Because the brain prioritizes emotional safety over excitement when life experience deepens. But here's the twist. Emotional absence feels heavier now because people are more aware of time, outcomes, and emotional truth. So the real question becomes, what does connection mean when silence starts feeling more honest than words? And this is where most people misunderstand relationships completely. Because after this stage, love is no longer about filling a gap. It becomes about emotional peace. And emotional peace is not created by constant excitement. It is created by presence, understanding, and stability. Imagine meeting someone who doesn't try to impress, doesn't try to fix everything, but simply understands without pressure. That experience alone can feel grounding in a way that surprises many people. But here's the final insight most people miss. Emotional need is not a weakness. It is a reflection of life transitions. When life is uncertain, people seek reassurance. When life is competitive, people seek stability. When life becomes reflective, people seek meaning. And all of this happens naturally, without anyone forcing it. So when you look at attraction through this lens, everything changes. Love is no longer random. It is responsive. It is shaped by timing, psychology, and emotional environment. And maybe the real question is not when someone needs love most, but whether we are emotionally aware enough to understand what kind of love is being expressed at each stage. Because most relationships don't fail from lack of emotion. They fail from misunderstanding the phase someone is in. If this changed the way you see relationships, subscribe to Silent Love Psychology for more insights into attraction, relationships, and the hidden psychology behind human behavior.